Gonna get this done now. I'm gonna put this up in other places and then be with you. Yes. There we go. All right, let me put some music up for everybody so you can see what I'm working on today. Yeah, whatever. Boom. That's what I'm working on today. Let's see here. G major. I'm going to turn this down just slightly with the brightness. Doom, 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 doom. Yeah, that should be good. So I had a bit of a fall last week. I fell on the street, on my shoulder actually, and then on my ribs. Definitely at least a deep bruise. I thought I broke at least one of my ribs. I'm not certain, but it's been pretty gnarly. I'm finally back healthy enough to be able to at least try to breathe in deeply. Even though it's quite uncomfortable, I'm going to go ahead and just get back on the horn so that I maintain some sense of continuity and that I don't lose too much in the interim. So, first thing I'm going to do, of course, before I do my scale work, I'm going to do a little bit of long tone shit. Just to make sure that I'm feeling good about where I'm at with the horn. So all I'm going to do here is just do a series of 12ths, which is what the clarinet wants to do anyway. All I'm going to do is finger a note like this. Then I'm going to add this register key right here. Pick. That takes me up a 12th. And when I do it, I don't pop it. I try to squeeze the register key. Let it open slowly. For two things. I'm looking for a seamless connection. I want that the first note, the bottom note, to bleed into the top note and blur into the top note. And the only way to do that is by doing that squeeze. If you try to pop it, you do get that other note, but you don't get a real nice. You see how one note just became the other note, okay? And the other thing to really think about is keep your airstream moving nice and fast, and then move your voicing from an ah to an e. Ah, e. Yeah, and on these top ones, when I'm playing them, I'm literally not even lifting this up all the way. For that one, I was like, "Duh, there." That's as much as I was lifting that key. I still have more than half of it left to go. So just that much will make the note speak like it wants to, okay? F and C. F and C. Reed is slightly soft today, but I'm going to live with that because I'm not going to be too picky the first day I'm back after a week off. All right, we're going to live with this. Now we're going to move on to our actual scale work. For that, I start with modes. I'm going to start on the lowest possible note in G major on my instrument, which is this note right here. Oh, it's not even there. A low E. I'm going to go up and down 2 octaves in G major. That's 1 sharp from low E to high G. You'll see, 2 octaves at a time. Metronome at 80. Subdivision on. We're just going to go through all of the modes, breathing beautifully through your horn. So that's what I started with for a couple of reasons. One, it's a nice handshake for the day on whatever scale you're going to do. To just do those modes up and down. It's really rare that anytime you play in a particular key that you would start on the tonic and end on the tonic. So getting a little facile and hearing how those modes sound sort of in their own context helps. And also just to like really think about the quality of your sound up and down the instrument and how even your fingers are picking themselves up and putting themselves down. which is really what we're stressing. Evenness and beauty of the sound. The speed and the velocity will take care of itself eventually. All right, but you got to get the basics correct before you can really crush it. So now I'm going to actually start to move on to this scale here. This right here, G major. I'm going to go all the way up and down 4 times per breath. Here's 100 with the subdivision on. Good. Not too bad. Let's do that again. Easy and even. Alright, so we feel pretty decent about that. We're going to go to 120 and take the subdivision off now. Okay. Same thing. Extrapolate what we just did a little faster, but I'm listening for the beauty and the evenness of it, not for the speed. And again. All right, same thing. We're just going to move it up 20 clicks. Here's our goal for today, day 2, 140. Again, looking for evenness and beauty, not for speed. The speed will get there. Same thing. And there I did a really fairly common, easy practice technique. I did not like how I was coming back down over that break, so I just, a few times. Okay? So just isolating something and putting it back into context can occasionally just like iron those little problems out. Let me try a different read here. All right, this is quite a bit harder of a read, but we'll see what happens here. All right, so now we're going to move on to this broken chord here. For now, we're going to leave off these articulations, but we're going to put them in again really fast. So, back to 100, back to the subdivision, eighth note subdivision on. Even and easy, as always. Right hand B, nothing else. Again, right hand B every single time. There's no reason to get your left hand involved. Just stick it right here. All right. Now we're going to take it to 110, take the subdivision off, and we're going to add these articulations. Okay? So slur 2, tongue 2, tongue 1, slur 2, tongue 1, tongue 2, slur 2. 3 different iterations of the slur 2, tongue 2 clarinet articulation. Yeah, and also I always use the top fingering for this G here. So D, G. It's just an overblown B with the E flat key on here, but it will always treat you well. Mainly because you're not switching a partial to go to that note. And if you learn to voice it correctly, it's pretty close. All right, here's our goal, 120 for today. Slurs back on, no articulation. All right, oof. All right, let's do this again. You know, not bad for coming back from a week off. I'm going to give myself every break that I can as long as things are working fairly well. This one now. Interrupted scale. Again, for evenness here, you're not thinking... Sorry about that gross articulation. I just wanted to point it out. But you should be thinking about this. Going towards every next downbeat rather than away from each previous one. We do it slightly in, out of, and then in context. etc. But in context, thinking it that way, close. Let's do that one more time. Close. We're going to move the metronome up to 120, take the subdivision off. Here we are. Same thing, easy and even, not worrying about the speed, just listening to where you are inside the beat and listening to the tone quality of your instrument going up and down. So there we go. That's just our goal for day 2. That's easy-ish. 120. So now we're going to do thirds. Screw the articulation. I'm going to take the repeat, take a breath, take this repeat. Okay? 120 first. Always with the 8th note subdivision on at the earliest, at the lowest tempo. Yeah, not too bad. Let's take it to 120. Take that subdivision off. Do the same thing. Easy and even, not worrying about the speed. Speed will come. Okay, 120 is a nice, medium fast goal. One more time so I can untangle these threads that are in my brain about the very top. I think I untangled them. move on to this stuff here, which is my Kroepsch, my dear, dear, dear lovely Kroepsch. This is what really makes me into a decent clarinet player, is doing this stuff on a daily fashion. All right, swabbing through my horn, blah, 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 blah. All right, so here's where I take off my memorization and put on some music. All right, all of the scale work you should obviously do from memory as much as possible. If you don't have that, then you should make that happen for yourself. I think it's just important to know your instrument that well. You know, because we all get into a situation during performances where we're like, oh man, what next, right? You're like, what in the hell is coming up now? Everybody has that, right? Everybody has that, from the greatest players on down. The moments of, oh Jesus, what's next? The question is to have the answer to that. Like that's the solution. If you work this way, when those moments come and you're like, what's happening next? You'll have the answer to that question. And that's as empowering as you can possibly get as a musician, because it feels very lonely out there sometimes. Okay, so we're all swabbed out. We're all lubed up. Reed's wet again. I'll put my stand out so I can join you with this lovely stuff. Now, these are like somewhat fast long tones. I'm going to set the metronome at 50 for today. And I'm going to play everything as printed in tempo from beginning to end. All right, let me just, there, a little bit more. There we are. So because this is day 2, I'm at a slightly subdued tempo. I'm going to go at 50. My goal for days 4 and 5 will be 60. Tomorrow will be 55. I go in the middle. Subdivision, again, on. I'm a bit of a, I don't want to say Nazi, but I'm a bit of a stickler for sticking that subdivision on whenever you need to. Repeat each line 4 times before we finish with the final bar. Now that sounds almost pathetically easy, right? But if you're paying attention to every single note and you're trying to connect every single note as well as it can be connected and to do it as perfectly as it can be done, actually takes a lot of mental energy. You should be playing each one of these like you're playing an orchestral excerpt in front of a committee. You want to win a job or a position by how well you play these. Just like if it was Beethoven 6 or something like that. Again, always with the right hand B if possible. At the very end, I go left, right for that C sharp, for this B, C sharp right there. Otherwise, right hand all the way, no matter what. Same thing. 28. Second time. Always legato, always legato. Yeah, man, I'm really, really looking for a really ringing, brilliant tone quality here, okay? Just something beautiful all the time. Two things on this next one, number 30. I'm going to finger the high G, 1 and 3, I think. Yep. 1, 3, 1, 3, E flat key. It's a nice, in tune, very solid fingering for high G. Thumb and register key, of course. Yes. For the F sharp, yonder, right there, you use the long fingering for the F sharp, which is 1, 2, leave that third finger empty, 1, 2, 3, E flat key, plus the register and the thumb key, of course. This is a really great fingering that comes out every time. Normally, if I'm playing it in real life, I add this D flat key. Makes it a little bit more mellower and flatter. I'm not going to worry about it here. So, number 30. See, it pops right out. I'm rushing the metronome slightly, so I'm going to try to take care of that in this rep. But just kind of make those notes not too short, okay? Separated, not short. They're going to be separated just because they're an octave above anyway, so nice and long, really. And I really like this open G fingering without, open G can obviously be without any notes whatsoever, but I like adding these two bottom keys. It does a couple of things. One, lowers the pitch slightly, but two, also adds a ring and a mellowness to the sound that can be missing on that open G from time to time because it's such a shallow. Really, you're only blowing into a tube that's this long. It's a foot long, so there's not a whole lot of resistance. So this adds a little bit of resistance and adds a little bit of a pitch correction. I love this open G fingering with the two bottom. Number 31. Now we're moving into same tempo, changing the subdivision from 4 to 6. Same idea. Easy. Yeah, it's really actually kind of hard to keep my tempo in check here. I want to rush all the time. But that's a really important thing, to try to stay on the back end of the metronome. So I'm really going to be thinking about that as I go on to number 32. Maybe a little bit of rushing at the end, but otherwise okay. Taking that subdivision to a triplet here. What the hell? There we go. Number 33. Starts to get a little quick here. Back to that beautiful eighth note subdivision. Still trying to keep it really well in check in terms of the tempo here. Don't rush, saying to myself. And then I rush. Yeah, and there's that really lovely, I think, personally for myself, really lovely high note that I just ended on. Not high, but a nice medium high G. And lots of ring. That's what I look for. Ringing, singing tone. That's what I want. As much like a singer as possible. Just a singer who can sing a lot of notes. All right? Here we are. Speaking of a lot of notes. Keeping the same tempo, keeping the same subdivision. Excuse me. That coffee. Woo! Here we go. Oy vey. Okay, so getting to the end of this read for the day. Number 35. Yeah, not great, but I'm going to live with it because of the week off, okay? So tomorrow, I'm going to worry about it a bit more. Today, I'm really just trying to get through to make sure that my body is still working somewhat like it's supposed to. Next, number 36. Yeah, and never once in that exercise do I use anything but my right pinky. I'm just all over the place with my right. I don't like to include my left too much. I could talk about that later, but here, let's just use a lot of right pinky if you don't mind. Yeah, that one actually gets somewhat tricky. I use a number 37. My book, this is a Russian version of this book that I pirated. Well, didn't pirate. I downloaded from imslp.org, which you should know that website if you don't. It has pretty much any piece in in the public domain you can find pretty much there. imslp.org. So in my version, those first two notes in every 16th pattern in number 37, the first two notes are articulated instead of it's. So I kind of go back and forth between the two of them. Number 38, same tempo, same subdivision, just keeping it easy. Okay, and then there's a little tricky thing at the bottom here that we should look at. G sharp, A sharp, F sharp. You got to flip here, C sharp, D, A sharp, B, and then I go left hand for the rare version, left hand. Maybe I da da da. I may go right and then left because the D sharp here, this high D sharp, I want to be able to finger it with just this third finger. So I want to be able to go left, F sharp, high E flat. That's really the only D sharp fingering option that's available to you there is this D sharp here. So left to right. last one. This is slightly complicated. At this tempo, not too terrible. I'm just going to try to keep it nice and even, keep the technique in check so I'm not rushing, and just try to be really clean throughout. Clean and even. And one of the only fake fingerings here is this D. That's one of the only times that I actually go to a fake fingering, which will just be an open. If I played it out of context, it would sound pretty bad. If I can voice it right in context, you're not going to notice. Yeah, and I kind of blow a little fake air at that so that it doesn't quite... I don't want it to have that kind of quality, so I go really kind of open and and I blow kind of like neutral air at it. If I were in slow motion, it might sound like... I should have... Let's try it in context. All right. Well, slightly painful today coming back from my time off and my injured rib, but overall not too bad. I got through this in 50 minutes, which means if I didn't talk, I'd get through it in 40, which you can do for sure. Everybody could do. Thank you for coming by. I will probably not be back later, but I will be back tomorrow. Thanks very much. I really appreciate everybody.